Hey, what's up, everyone? You're here with Goran from Pickdawgz, and you are here for your free soccer picks for Sunday, August 20th. Well, guys, we have some more games on Sunday from the European top football leagues such as Bundesliga, EPL, Serie A, LaLiga, and the French League 1. And of course, if you want more free picks, go to the Pickdawgz YouTube channel and check it out, guys. Subscribe and hit that like button. We do appreciate it a lot. For my best bets, click the link in the description of this video. That will get you up to my page on the Pickdawgz website where you can sign up. And of course, feel free to use that discount code PICK at any of your purchases and get that additional discount on our website. Like I said, guys, we have some free picks here for you again after a massive Saturday. Uh, it's a little bit less than Sunday, but still a decent amount of free picks. So let's get this show on the road. The first one that we have is between Aston Villa and Everton in the EPL, and Aston Villa is actually a pretty decent favorite, minus 152. I do understand why. They have been far more consistent last season. In my opinion, they are the team with more quality here. But then again, Everton was actually quite decent in that game against Fulham, even though they lost 1-0 at home. But before that, their preseason was solid. They were undefeated for 5 or 6 games in a row. And overall, I think that they have improved quite a lot since last season. So I think it's going to be a very interesting game. It's going to be close matchup. And I honestly think this one could go either way. And even though Everton hasn't won any of their last 4 games against Aston Villa, uh, I think that they definitely have a chance here. They will try to bounce back after that performance from last week after that loss. And on top of that, Aston Villa is missing a bunch of players, and that will definitely reduce their depth. So instead of choosing the sides here, I decided to go with both teams to score minus 124. I honestly wouldn't be surprised if we see 1-1 game or possibly even 2-2. So I'm gonna go with both teams to score. West Ham is hosting Chelsea in the next matchup. It's a London derby, and you know what? West Ham hasn't won any of their last 4 games. They got a 1-1 draw against Bournemouth last week, while Chelsea got a 1-1 draw against Liverpool. But I think that Chelsea lost a player in that game, and even though they have a ton of depth, they will certainly miss James on that right hand side, who started his rehabilitation process earlier this week already. Like I said, West Ham hasn't won any of their last 4 games. Chelsea hasn't lost any of their last 7 games. And with a huge amount of new players in the team, I think it's going to be a while before they build up that chemistry, before they start playing well, before they are much more effective than they are right now. But with Pochettino at the helm, I think that they definitely have a very good chance of doing that. So, um, in this game, guys, I simply have to go with Chelsea on the money line at plus 108. West Ham is not being themselves, especially with that news around Paqueta and his betting on his own cards, on his own team, which is absolutely stupid if you ask me. But at the moment, West Ham is not looking that well, and they will need to wait a few more games before they get their first win of the season, in my opinion. So I'm going to go with the better team here, and that's Chelsea at plus 108. Now, guys, we are done with the EPL and we are moving on to La Liga. The first game we have is between Barcelona and Cadiz. As we can see, Barcelona are massive favorites at home. And after that performance from last week, I mean, to be honest, they weren't even that bad in the attacking and they were creating some chances. They were dominant in possession, uh, but they were just ineffective. And as it pains me to say, I was actually quite disappointed watching that game. I think they haven't beaten Getafe in a long time on the road. They haven't scored a goal against Getafe in a long time as well. And I think that now this game is potentially a chance for them to redeem themselves. So um, Cadiz on a nice positive streak, undefeated in their last 4 games. But for Barcelona not to score a goal 2 games in a row, that doesn't sound like something they would do. So once again, I'm gonna go with Barcelona to win and over 2.5 goals. It's minus 152. It's quite expensive. I'm not willing to push this any deeper or look for any bigger value simply because until they get some consistency in their feet, I'm gonna try to keep it simple. So I'm gonna go with Barcelona win and over 2.5 goals. Betis and Atletico Madrid are facing off in the last game of the day in La Liga. That's at 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time. And as soon as I saw that game, the first thing I checked were the yellow cards, as one does when you have these two teams meeting up. So I'm keeping this one simple, guys. I think this is gonna be a bloodbath. I think it's gonna be a war. It's gonna be a real fight, and over 5.5 cards at plus 118. That's gonna be my pick for this one. I'm not gonna even bother with goals or sides or stuff like that. I'm gonna take over 5.5 cards and possibly even put half a unit on a red card in the game, which should be a nice plus money. I forgot to check about that one. So Betis against Atletico Madrid over 5.5 cards. Now we are moving on to the Italian Serie A, and we have Roma playing against Salernitana in their season opener. And Roma, in my opinion, is actually a pretty good team. I think they will be fighting for the top four. Um, Jose Mourinho is still the head coach, and Salernitana on the other side hasn't had much success against Roma in the past, but they are in a pretty good form right now, and they are undefeated in their last 5 games. Now, when playing at home, Roma hasn't lost to Salernitana in their last 3 games. But like I said, Salernitana hasn't lost any of their last 5 games, but they also haven't won any of their last 10 games on the road. We have seen Salernitana scoring goals quite consistently in this matchup, and with that in mind, and the fact that Roma has a couple of suspended players, a couple of injured players, I think that they will have a bit of a tough time here, which is why I decided to go for the full value here. I know that when you have a game like that, you try to find the easiest pick to win, but I'm gonna go with Roma to win and both teams to score at plus 285. I'm gonna give the credit to Salernitana and hope they can get at least a goal here, and hopefully Roma will step up at home in their season opener. So Roma to win and both teams to score at plus 285. Sassuolo and Atalanta are facing off in the Serie A. And these two teams, at least on paper, should be scoring a lot of goals this season. And in the head-to-head matchups in the past, we have seen both teams scoring a lot. We have seen over 2.5, over 3.5. We have seen a couple of unders every now and then. But I'm gonna keep this one simple, guys. I'm gonna go with over 2.5 goals. It's minus 159. I think it's definitely worth a shot. Maybe even take over 3 goals and get nice plus money out of it. But I don't expect to see a lot of defense on either side in this match. So Sassuolo against Atalanta over 2.5 goals. Lecce is playing against Lazio at home in the next matchup in Serie A, and we have two teams that have been all over the place in the preseason. Lazio is now on a 2 game losing streak, but before that they had a nice winning streak. And overall, I think that they are a pretty decent team, still with some solid players, and they have signed Kamada as well, who will be a nice addition to this team, give them that depth in the midfield and possibly some imagination between those players, and maybe get some nice amount of assists over the season. So Lecce on the other side, also a solid team. They were playing in the Serie A last season. They stayed in the league. They were decent in the preseason as well, scoring some goals, conceding goals. And I think we can expect goals in this one, even though the books are not. So over 2.5 at plus 118, I think it's definitely worth a shot. And that's going to be my pick for this game in the Italian Serie A. And for the final pick in Serie A, we have Udinese playing against Juventus. And even though Udinese has been absolutely outstanding in the preseason, they have lost only one of their last 6 games. Uh, they uh, they don't have that much depth, to be honest, and they have a few injured players as well. While Juventus, on the other side, they have been trying to rebuild the team. They have been getting rid of some players, signing some players, and I believe they still will sign a few players until the end of the transfer window. But I think that they are the better team here in this matchup. And even though they're playing on the road, minus 120 is definitely good enough of a price. And I'm going to go with Juventus on the money line at minus 120. It might be a tight game. I wouldn't be surprised to see a 1-0 win for Juventus. Maybe if Udinese will be lucky enough to get a draw out of it, but I don't think that they can win. So I'm going to go with minus 120 on Juventus on the money line. Now we are moving on to Bundesliga, guys, and the first match we have is between Union Berlin and Mainz. Now, when you think of a team that was undefeated at home for the entire season. So they haven't suffered a single loss at home during the entire season. You certainly don't think about Union Berlin. And yet, they were the only team in the top five European football leagues last season to stay undefeated at home. And they played against Bayern, they played against Leipzig, Leverkusen, they played against Borussia Dortmund, they played against some outstanding teams during the course of the season. And yet, they still left the season undefeated at home. So I'm keeping this one simple. With all due respect to Mainz, I think that they're a solid team. They are in a very, very good form right now, undefeated in their last six games. They haven't lost any of the last four games on the road. I'm keeping this one simple. I'm taking Union Berlin on the money line at home, minus 105. This is a price we simply have to take advantage of. I know it's the first game of the season. We have to be a little bit careful, but I simply could not take this pick. And Union Berlin on the money line at minus 105. And the second game of the day in Bundesliga is between Eintracht Frankfurt and Darmstadt. Now, Darmstadt is the newcomer to the league, and they haven't had that good of a preseason. And honestly, I think they might be one of the biggest favorites to get relegated at the end of the season as well. Uh, I mean, they will get a few wins for sure. They will be a nice competition at the bottom of the table to stay in the league, to stay out of the relegation zone. But in this game, I think that Eintracht will definitely be the dominant team. And even though they lost a few players, they've signed a few new players as well. I think they also have a new head coach for this season. So it's going to be a different team than they were last season, and we'll see how they will start the season. But I think that they will get a win, honestly. But I'm gonna stay with over 2.5 at minus 159, which is also pretty good. I do expect goals, but like I said, if you want more money out of this game, take Eintracht to win and over 2.5 goals, and I think it's gonna be a nice winner for you as well. Now we are moving on to the French League One, guys, and we have a couple of games to talk about here. The first one is between Monaco and Strasbourg. Monaco did get a win last week, 4-2 against Clermont, but as we can see, neither of these two teams has the defense. So Strasbourg's last eight, 9 games have gone over 2.5, and I believe like only one of those hasn't hit with both teams to score. All the other ones did, and they also are coming into this game after a win. They have beaten Lyon 2-1 at home, and I do expect something very, very similar here as well. So instead of choosing the sides, both teams to score and over 2.5 goals, minus 114, I think it's a slam dunk for this match between Monaco and Strasbourg. And the last pick of this video, guys, we have Lens playing against Rennes. The last game of the day in the French League One as well. And even though Rennes is in a much, much better form than Lens is right now, who are on a two-game losing streak, I still think that Lens is a very, very solid team. And they do have a bunch of injured players. They have a one suspended player because of the red card as well. But with them playing at home, I do expect them to step up their game a little bit, and I do expect them to get to the scoreboard. But then again, we'll see how much Rennes is willing to do. And even though they are scoring a ton of goals right now, I don't think the win for them is a given here. So I'm gonna go with over 2.5 minus 141. Honestly, don't care who gets the win here as long as we see at least three goals in this match, and I think that we will. So Lens against Rennes over 2.5 goals. That's it, everyone. Thank you for joining me here. Thank you for taking the time to watch these videos once again. Good luck with your bets on Sunday, guys. Have a great day. Enjoy it. And I'll see you soon with more free picks.